Chiafalo and Bryan Broaddus.
Oh, baby, it's a Cowboys game day. First time since 1992 the Cowboys are looking to get a win in Denver over the Broncos. It's Zach Wolchuck in for Eric Chiafalo. Shout out to my partner in crime for stepping in for me last week. I was under the weather. So Eric, on short notice, able to do halftime and post for me, and appreciate you, Bryan, everybody holding it down. You guys did an excellent job. Was heartbroken. I mean, my second favorite Cowboy of all time. How about Des Bryant showing up?
Yeah, how about that? It was kind of fun.
The party. That was awesome.
It was fun.
Really great. You and Eric had an awesome interview with him. Des was in excited spirits, but can't wait as we are now just under 3 hours away from kickoff. Cowboys in Denver, Mile High against the Broncos. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. 877-881-1053, the number to text for your Cowboy thoughts today. And Bryan did get some injury updates as we found out yesterday, some new information. And as I was just so consumed with college football, the Wanye Thomas news, and I had being unprepared.
Yeah, he couldn't
totally
fly.
Just I missed it.
Yeah,
I missed it.
Yeah, I know that Scott Golnick over in Cowboys PR kind of let everybody know that there was some certain amount of moves that they were thinking about making. He even talked about BB, all week long, whether it was on our various platforms, Love of the Star, with 105.3 The Fan. We were talking about the possibility of BB being able to play, and so everything was trending in that direction. The main thing they wanted to see is when they got to Saturday, how would he feel? Mm-hmm. And evidently that wasn't good enough. He did not, as he made progress during the week, not enough progress to play in this football game. And to me, that is a very, very big blow to the Cowboys offensive line. Nothing against Hoffman, but this is a different group that you're about to face with Allen, Jones, and Franklin Myers. And yeah, you're saying Broaddus who? Well, no, these guys are legitimate defensive players. You're going to play a 3-4 front, odd front, as we like to say. You're going to play with the nose tackle with Jones. Zach Allen has been really good with pressures, sacks for a guy that plays as that 5 technique or that head up defensive end. Boy, he's done a really, really nice job this year. So, and you're going to deal with 2 of the better edge rushers in the National Football League. Fortunately for the Cowboys, no Drake Greenlaw today at linebacker. So Alex Singleton, a good player. But you're kind of, this time of year, we're halfway through the season, or getting near halfway through the season, and you're starting to see injuries start to mount up, and teams are going without some of their better players. And in this case, I think the Cowboys and Denver both are kind of dealing with that right now. Yeah, so just to reset the scene, Trayvon Diggs yesterday was placed on IR with that concussion. He's going to be out at least 4 games. You mentioned Cooper Beebe. He's going to remain on the reserve/DFR list. He's out today, hopefully back next week. Wanye Thomas listed as questionable with a migraine. He's now ruled out, as you mentioned, didn't fly with the team. So the Cowboys are elevating, again, second week in a row, Malik Davis, the running back, and then defensive back Corey Ballantyne, who was a original draft pick in the 6th round of the New York Giants, has kind of bounced around, played with the Jets, the Lions, the Falcons, the Cardinals, the Packers, the Colts, back to the Packers, the Patriots, and now your Dallas Cowboys. He was the 2018 Cliff Harris Award winner, and he is of Jamaican heritage. So maybe Corey Ballantyne, I don't know, probably special teams role for him, but it's going to be interesting to see what the Cowboys end up doing at safety. I would expect Marquise Bell, certainly, who played some last week, and then, maybe it is more Elijah Clark. Without Donovan Wilson and Wanye Thomas. Yeah, I think you're right in the wheelhouse right there. And then, maybe, how is there somebody else that we're not thinking about, that one of these corners that can, could be that guy that, it seems to me that you're just going with 3 today. And if anything were to happen to either Bell, Clark, or Ballantyne, who would you move in? Who would be that guy that could play as maybe a safety? I know that there was some thought about maybe as an emergency. I asked Matt Eberflus this question when they signed Bridges, or they claimed Bridges off waivers from the Chargers. I asked Matt if he was a corner or a safety. There was some talk that maybe that some teams were looking at him as a safety. So maybe he's a guy that has gotten some reps at that position. Maybe even Kyrie Elam have looked at.
Tyree Hill, sure.
Because how well he tackles. But yeah, they're really, really thin right now at that safety position.
Well, the one guy that they brought back, Zion Childress, has experience. He was a safety in Kentucky. Now, he's played mostly slot corner, and I know Brian Schottenheimer in preseason said that they do value him as an inside player.
Yeah.
So maybe they just don't think, that they don't want him as an option there at safety. But that'll be something when we talk with Christy coming up a little bit later as we're loaded here on the pregame show. James Houston, our player profile, going to be coming up on the other side with the three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold. We'll have Bobby Belt, our Cowboys insider, Dave Logan, play-by-play voice of the Denver Broncos, and Tracy Wolfson going to be joining us today as well. So we got a jam-packed pregame show for you here. The other news that came out today, Brian, during pregame on Fox, and I don't think a surprise, but Jay Glazer confirming that the Cowboys are trying, and they've actually called around. They called the Raiders for Max Crosby.
Yeah.
We're told no. They called the Bengals for Trey Hendrickson. We're told no.
Okay.
And they're calling around for more defensive help.
Yeah, and you know what? If I'm Jerry and Stephen Jones, Will McClay, I'm just, every time they tell you no, I'm picking up the phone and I'm picking up the phone again. And, you've got really, a week until, a week from Tuesday would be the trade deadline. Let's see what happens in the league today. Let's see who finds. I know the Raiders are off. That's a team. Cincinnati playing right now. You just never know. With these teams start to lose, does it get to a point in time where you say, okay, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere very fast. But if I'm Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, I still keep calling those teams. I still try to get, Max Crosby. I still try and get Hendrickson. I just keep going. I saw where the Dolphins are up 7-0 early in Atlanta. Just keep calling these teams. Make these teams tell you no up until that Tuesday deadline.
Yeah, and the Bengals right now up 10-0 on the Jets.
Yeah.
Jets still winless on the season. So Cincinnati with a win, and this is Joe Flacco starting. I mean, they're feeling they could be 4-4.
Yeah.
And maybe they're thinking like, okay, can Joe Flacco keep us afloat until later in the season when Burrow can come back?
That might be exactly what the plan is right now. Yep.
All right, let's talk more about this matchup here, Brian. And I know we've dissected this Love of the Star. If you've missed any of those, make sure you're listening and subscribing to the Love of the Star podcast. But coming into the season, I circled this Denver game as one that I thought it was probably the most likely L on the schedule.
Sure.
Just the fact that it's tough to go play in Denver. The Cowboys have a history, have not beaten Denver in 30 years. And I expected this defense to be the best in the league. Now, I do think there's holes. They do lead the league in sacks. They're the best third down defense in football. They're the best red zone defense in football. But they have not forced a lot of takeaways this year. And you can run the ball on them. I mean, they're ninth. They've got the ninth best run defense in football, and they've done pretty well in terms of points allowed. They're fourth best in the league. But this Cowboys offense, if they could find a way to run the football on Denver, I think the only time we saw them really get shut down was against Carolina.
Yeah.
And I was hoping Cooper Beebe would be available today because I think that they're better suited to deal with those three down linemen that you talked about, the big boys that they struggled against in Carolina. So when you're looking at, to your point, Zach Allen, DJ Jones, John Franklin Myers, now you get Booker back, who was back last week, but now it'll be Brock Hoffman next to Tyler Booker. So what do you think about the Cowboys' ability to run the football against Denver?
Yeah, I think that when you look at with Williams, he's one of those guys, he's been averaging a little over 4.2 yards after contact, per carry this season. So that's like the second most among the running backs with 40-plus carries this year. Bijan Robinson at 4.6 is the absolute best. And, he is like his 1.2 yards per contact is the 16th most among the, above the group, and is also a career high for him. So Dallas has done a really good job of getting these backs space to be able to, there's been a time where in previous regimes where it seemed like that Ezekiel Elliott or, Rico Dowdle, anyone who was carrying the football for the Cowboys was getting hit right at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. And this being the case with Williams, I mean, he's done a really, really good job of making sure. And I think the Cowboys offensive line has done a good job. So, how well can Booker, Hoffman, and Smith affect the inside three for the Broncos. I think it's going to come down to if we get through this game and Dallas is having success offensively, it's likely because of that more so than even dealing with these edge rushers. I just think I have that much respect for Denver and what they have with their inside three. So if Dallas finds a way to get that area of their game taken care of, the thing that killed them in the Carolina game was the penetration. You know, if all of a sudden if Hoffman and Smith and Hoffman and Booker and Steele and Booker and all those guys are doing their best to get push on these tackles, then you're going to see Dallas have some success because the edge is going to be a problem. Their edges want to get upfield and rush. They're not interested in playing the run all that much. So if Dallas can find a way, like I said, it's going to have to be securing those inside guys.
No, you're right, and I am a little bit worried about the tackles when it comes to being able to contain Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito. Those guys have been absolutely incredible this year. Now, there are ways that, of course, you can help. Brevin Spann-Ford's been absolutely fantastic this year. Maybe he's a guy, the added lineman. Maybe you see more TJ Bass, or the sniffer with Hunter Lipke. So it'll be interesting to see the game plan that Clayton Adams and Shoddy have to try and contain that.
Yeah, and you have to be careful because we're very mindful of what happened against Green Bay. And remember the one play that Micah Parsons made. Dak Prescott goes back in the pocket. Now he starts to his left, and he looks like he's going to have a path to the goal line. And who comes from the backside to get him? Micah Parsons. Right. And how did Micah Parsons get there? He overpowered Jake Ferguson. So you have to be very, very conscious if you're the Cowboys scheme-wise. Who are you blocking on these edges? I don't particularly think that having our buddy Jake Ferguson in a lot of one-on-one situations is necessarily a good thing.
I don't think Scooney either. I mean, we saw that at the goal line in the safety last week.
Give me the Hunter and say, listen, there's times where Hunter Lipke sometimes is not getting it done. But I will say this, though. I feel like, though, if you put Spann forward, maybe we'll see some extra blockers. Maybe we'll see TJ Bass. Maybe, give Sean Payton a little bit of his own medicine when he starts bringing in big personnel. Maybe Dallas will be that'll be something that we see them do as well.
It's going to be an amazing matchup, best on best. CeeDee Lamb, Pat Surtain II, arguably the best cornerback in football. Pickens in that mix. You got Riley Moss, the second-year corner out of Iowa, on the other side. Riley Moss, I think the deep ball susceptible there. That matchup with Pickens, maybe even it was CeeDee Lamb. You like that? It's just, hey, let's go if you see Riley Moss on the outside.
Well, I think that, Riley Moss, to me, it's really about his lack of speed. I do not think if you separate from Riley Moss, you are going to have an opportunity to make a big play. He just does not have the deep speed or the ability to carry a receiver, and he doesn't have the catch-up speed either when there is separation. So Riley Moss would be a guy you absolutely want to try. I'll tell you what, I'm not scared, and I know this sounds very brave and cavalier. I'm not afraid of going after Patrick Surtain with Pickens or with Lamb. Am I scared if it was going after Ryan Flanoy and say, oh, let's throw the ball to Ryan Flanoy when Surtain's covering him? Yeah, I would be a little nervous by that. But I'm not going to shy away from Surtain in this game if I know I could get the ball to Pickens or I can get the ball to Lamb.
A lot to go into this one. We're going to unpack it all here as we're getting closer and closer to kickoff. Under 3 hours away. Cowboys Broncos right here on 105.3 The Fan, and an early contender for our Meat Church menu of the day. 214, Pete and Justin, the spread, apple cherry habanero ribs, loaded baked potato salad with Meat Church Blanco seasoning, Wagyu butter burgers, and bacon wrap stuffed venison backstrap. I don't know what the backstrap is.
Well, it's almost like a steak.
Okay,
is what we're looking at.
It's a steak. It's a steak. But Pete and Justin, damn man.
Yeah, well, It's deer, basically.
Okay.
Venison is a deer. Yes.
It's the baby?
No, it's
the baby deer?
It's the big one.
It's the big one.
Yeah.
It's the big one.
So yeah, I mean that's early. That one's gonna be tough to beat because of the variety that he has. And I like the fact that he threw the sliders in there as well. I know.
A little something for everybody. Text in your Meat Church menu of the day, 877-881-1053. We got our player profile, Chris Arnold with James Houston. We got our insider, Bobby Belt, live from Denver. That's next on 105.3 The Fan. It's our guy Robert in Carrollton. Robert has texted, and he said he's going cheap today, boys. All right.
Because he's
going
like
cheap.
he is a two-time champion. So is he running out of steam here halfway through the season?
If
I
he
wonder.
says he's going cheap, man, I've heard most of the menu items that he's already given for the Meat Church menu of the day with you and Eric. This sounds not so cheap to me. Po' boy burn ends.
Okay.
Fried potatoes and armadillo eggs.
All right.
Jalapeno stuffed with chicken wrapped in bacon.
Yeah.
Skirt steak, smoked jalapeno sausage, and of course, baked beans.
Okay.
Pretty solid. I don't know if that ups Pete and Justin.
I do like
but it's a contender.
I do like the fact of the use of the po' boy. I think that's really.
I knew you would.
I think that's, and I've never heard it with the burnt ends, which makes it even better. Robert, text in and tell me what all you're putting on this po' boy with the burnt ends. I'm interested. I'm interested to see what you got.
This is Little Elm, Bill from Little Elm, smoked chili, Tex-Mex cornbread, jalapeno coleslaw, and cold Miller Lite. Shout out to you, Bill from Little Elm. Keep those flowing, 877-881-1053, as we look for our Meat Church menu of the day item. But right now, let's get into our player profile. The three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold with your Cowboys defensive end, Justin Houston.
James Houston. For some reason, everybody in this locker room absolutely loves some James Houston. What is this?
I don't know, man. You get to that quarterback, man, make some plays, everybody start to like you a little bit more.
Yeah, they do. And then I've been hearing them chant your name all the time. Or they even showed like a young picture of you too. So everybody kind of relate to you on various levels. Can you talk about that part and how it makes it easy with their chemistry and the culture?
Yeah, I think everybody just kind of realized, I came in kind of late, but I came into work and came to do my job, and I think everybody kind of respect that, and they just love the fun that I have out there on the field.
Okay, so how do we get more and more James Houston out there? You talking to the coaches? You have to make certain plays. You're looking for certain situations. I know you know what you can do because you did it with the Colts.
Yeah, I feel like I could do anything under the sun.
I said the coach Detroit.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a situation. It's a team right. Game. Everybody got their role, what I'm saying? I try to do the most out of my role that I can.
There was a nice big win last week. It looked like the defense was figured some things out. I know y'all doing communications, y'all doing some man, y'all doing some zone. So it's about mixing and matching and everybody playing their part, right?
Yeah. That's really
the moving parts, right?
That's really what defense is about. Communication, being able to show different looks, and just being able to play as one group.
Okay, so this afternoon's game, you're up in Denver. You've been up there before. Can you talk about how the air is different, or how you got, because they always try to talk about that mile high thing. They talk about it in all the sports up there. They try to get in your head about that.
No, it's real. I wouldn't say it's maybe as prevalent as everybody kind of makes it out the same.
But you prepare for it, though.
Yeah, you definitely feel it, and you definitely got to prepare yourself for it. But if you do the right thing, necessary steps, you should be fine. Okay, let's talk about that Denver offense, what y'all gonna have to do to slow them down. Because again, y'all made a nice little step there. I always look at it like step by step by step. So what kind of things can we expect out of Denver, and what are y'all going to do to stop them? Yeah, Denver, they're an up-and-coming team too. They've been playing really well the last few weeks. So it's the same with us. We've been kind of trying to climb as well. So it's like, who's going to be more on point, who's not going to make the most mistakes, who's going to, make the necessary plays when they got to be made. And that's basically what football is, so yeah. And finally, before I let you get out of here, on game day, what's your routine? Because a lot of people like to do things a certain way. Is there a certain kind of music you want to listen to? You eat a certain breakfast or anything? Or you have to get to the stadium, a certain bus? You tell me. Yeah. What's the James Houston? Come on. I eat breakfast, good breakfast every morning, always. Before the game, I like to get in the ice bath, and then just, warm up. I listen to, Kodak and Lil Wayne and just get in my vibe and go. Easy. Yes, sir. That'll work. Congratulations on making this team, and I hope you have that impact as early as the day again. Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day. James Houston, like everybody's saying here. James Houston, you know it.
There he is, James Houston, not Justin. Not Justin Houston. That's the former longtime Kansas City Chief end. Yeah. Also spent some time with the Colts. James Houston, with a three-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold. Hopefully we call his name today, gets some pressure on one Bo Nix. Maybe we can get a sack, strip, fumble, return to the house for a touchdown.
You're going to get a quarterback that's going to kind of move around in the pocket a little bit. He's going to play on the edge. There's going to be some design runs, some design rollouts and stuff like that. So these edges are going to be in probably some chase mode a little bit today. Hopefully they'll catch up to old Bo Nix.
All right, before we get to Bobby Bell, let's pause 10 seconds to allow station identification here on 105.3 The Fan.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
All right, just a little over 2.5 hours until kick. Cowboys, Broncos, Zach Wolchuck along the Super Bowl winning scout. Bryan Broaddus here. We'll talk with Dave Logan, play-by-play voice of the Broncos, coming up on the other side. Right now, let's go out to Denver. Our Cowboys insider, the one and only Bobby Belt. Bob, how are you, sir?
Good Sunday afternoon. It's still technically morning here, but it's Sunday afternoon in Dallas, so good Sunday afternoon.
Good Sunday afternoon. How was your dinner last night with Zero? You went to a very Denver-specific restaurant, I saw.
Yeah, we were really, like, we get too much hell around here for going to, like, chains when we're on the road, and specifically from Sean Sharif on the morning show. And so, Zero and I were really just like, let's find a nice hole in the wall, and we asked Bryan for some recommendations, and he could not stop talking about Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
And so we found this little place called Cheesecake Factory, and it was great. It was really, really good.
How was the dessert? Was it did you order cheesecake?
I mean, yeah. So, like, I didn't get any. Zero was going to get some, but then Zero told me, he's like, you know what? I've got a work ethic. I'm not ordering cheesecake. So then he did not order cheesecake. But
all right, Bob. Well, gosh, I can't believe you guys didn't get cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. It's so darn delicious.
I know, we were so full from the pasta and stuff that it killed us.
I mean, the portions there are absolutely humongous. How's everything going right now? How are you liking Denver? Have you gotten any altitude sickness?
I have not gotten altitude sickness. The sickest I've ever been was in Denver, Colorado, about 13 years ago, and so I've got some PTSD from that. First time coming back, but I love Denver, the city, and I think this will be a good game today. I've got my concerns for the way that Denver plays and how that matches up against Dallas, but I do think that this is going to be a game where we're talking about 1-2 point score is the difference.
All right, so what would be number one on the concern list?
Nick Benito and the Broncos pass rush in general. Benito gets home so fast off the edge, and he's got a wide range of things in his toolbox that he can use to kind of frustrate Tyler Guyton if that's the side that he's going to be primarily lined up on, which he typically has been. But I think they've got a really effective group of pass rushers. I like the interior. They got Zach Allen in there. They've got John Franklin Myers. I think they do a good job working together. They're just a team, I think, that when you look at how deep their pass rush is and how effectively they're able to get home with four, and they're a 3-4, quote unquote, but I mean it's a lot of times 4 up on the line of scrimmage, and they'll do a lot of creepers and sim pressures, so they'll show you 7 on the line of scrimmage and then 3 drop back, or they'll have the guys there lined up on the line of scrimmage, and then a defensive lineman may drop and you're going to have a linebacker blitz. So they do some creative things to get that 4 home. They'll also blitz a lot as well in certain situations, but they have had a lot of success getting home with just the 4, to the point where they're 47% pressure rate. That's better than the second place team by 6 percentage points, which is massive.
Bobby, man, trying to figure out, are we going to get a travel situation today, or are we going to play this thing straight up from what your study's telling you?
For Denver traveling?
Denver travel.
Yeah. So they've pretty much split exact number of reps on both sides. So Riley Moss and Pat Surtain have played the right and the left similar amounts of times. I would say that when you've got Pickens and you've got CeeDee Lamb, I would just go ahead if I was Denver, and they may feel differently about it. They may really like one matchup better than another, but I would just play things kind of straight up. I wouldn't worry about traveling with anybody because they can, hurt you so bad with Lamb and Pickens the way they do things. If you're going to put them on one, I would imagine it's probably, I don't know, there's so many different ways that it can come. I would think that with the way that Pickens has been able to hurt teams in some of the contested catch areas and down the field lately, they might prefer that direction. But Denver does a really good job of not having a ton of really obvious tendencies on the defensive side of the ball. Like when you look at Vance Joseph, they don't play a coverage, significantly more than other teams do, other than man. But like in zone, they're not playing cover 3, for instance, at a really high rate compared to other teams. Or they kind of balance everything out, and there's not a lot of really direct trends about 3rd and long or 3rd and short or different things like that and how they blitz. So I think that they could play this straight up if they wanted to, and at that point I would just look for where's the Riley Moss matchup and try to take advantage of that, and Alex Singleton, the linebacker, in coverage.
Bobby, I've just kind of looking at when their sacks come, first down sacks, third down sacks. So I was kind of thinking like, is this run the ball early? I mean, I know you probably don't want to run it like a first down runs. I don't think are always great, but I wonder if you're in a situation where is this a run early? I kind of thought early in the week that it might be opposite but once I went back and looked at all the sacks, there were first down sacks, third down sacks. Is it one of those kind of zig when they zag with your play calling today?
You may want to try some of that. I know that in the run situations, I was impressed with their trenches when it came to the run game. I feel like they do a pretty good job of penetrating and disrupting things. It's usually just if you can break past that. Like I watched the Colts game. Jonathan Taylor, I think, had 3 pretty significant runs in that. And I think on all 3 of them, he got hit by somebody in the front 3 or 4, and then he just managed to stay up and get to the second level. And when you get to the second level in the run game, that's when Denver starts having some issues that I saw on tape with tackling and over pursuit and some of those things. So I wouldn't be surprised if today Javonte Williams, being the physical runner that he is, maybe try to take advantage of some of that, break through some of the arm tackles or different things. But I also wondered watching it if this could be a day where the run game plays out similar to the way it did against Carolina, because Carolina just in the trenches beat you up so bad that I wondered if Denver, if they had similar success, if that would be a problem. But it could be a game, too, where Javonte Williams could have 15 carries for 75 yards, and one of them was a 38-yard run where he broke through the initial line, and then Denver couldn't make a play on the second and third levels. But I wouldn't hate trying to change some things up, maybe play with some stuff within the script and see how it responds.
Man, big injury in the Giants-Eagles game is one of Bobby Belt's favorites. Cam Scattaboo is getting carted off the field. It looked like, possibly a broken ankle. It looked nasty.
Yeah.
He's getting carted off right now. Second quarter, 8 minutes to go, 14-7. Eagles up on the Giants, but that looks like it's most likely going to be a season ender. Jack Sanborn just got this update, has been added to the Cowboys injury report. He's out for today with a groin. So, Bobby, when you look at this Cowboys defense, you're depleted at safety, and then now you're down Sanborn again. And they've played without him, in recent weeks. But what do you think about some of these injuries and how the Cowboys will mitigate this?
I would be I've liked better the linebacker rotation they've kind of settled into. I think Kenneth Murray played better last week. I like the way that Shamar James plays. He doesn't always read it the right way. He doesn't always read it quickly enough. But, man, he flies around and he does hit, and he'll make it hurt. He's as sure a tackler as they have right now. So the linebacker group I don't have a ton of worries for right now. I would be more terrified of the Broncos offense, I think, if I had any belief that Bo Nix could beat you. And I don't know that if they were to lose this game, I don't think it's going to be like, man, Bo Nix just made 3 ridiculous throws down the stretch in tight coverage.
See, but that's what I disagree with you, Bobby, because I kind of feel like that Bo Nix at the end of a game, like Sean Payton doesn't do anything to really help Bo Nix through the game, and then all of a sudden it turns into Bo Nix against Oregon, and then like he's throwing the ball, he's running with the ball, and
he'll beat you. He'll beat you with his legs. I don't think it. Like I genuinely
he was making some throws last week in that game against the Giants.
Last week he did, and sure,
Philadelphia.
Broken clocks and blind squirrels, 100%. But I also know that he cannot push the ball down the field very effectively. And you want to see where if they get a takeaway today, I can tell you exactly what it's going to be on. It's going to be on a crossing route that he's trying to throw on the opposite side of the field, and he overthrows it because that is.
Oh, this is no. He's not. You stand him in the pocket and ask him to make some throws. I absolutely agree with you. But I think that what's going to happen today is like you're going to see those design rollouts with this guy.
The legs is the biggest concern with him. That's the biggest problem. And it's not just going to be designed rollouts. It's read options where he decides to take it, and it's designed runs for him where he gets to the edge pretty quickly. He's 100% a threat with his legs, and some of the ways that he can make the defense vulnerable with his legs will open some softer windows for him. But if he's got to stand back there and just make a big throw, and get into a track meet at all with Dallas, if Dallas is able to get up, then I don't think that Denver's going to be able to hang if that's the situation.
Bobby, you have the advantage at quarterback. Where do they have the biggest advantage? Is it the pass rush?
Yeah, like if you're going to compare pass rush to Dallas's offensive line, or you mean pass rush unit to pass rush unit?
Just best players. Like, you have the best quarterback. Where's their best players?
They are so good rushing the passer.
Yeah.
If I was going to look on the other side, I like the way that they run block. And the pass blocking's not been as strong for them. The concern I have today on offense for Denver is Marvin Mims. That's the guy I don't want burning me.
Yeah, agreed. Bobby, thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you.
I love you all.
There he goes. Bobby Belt with us here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. The creators of Buffalo bring you NFL casino games. Kick off with America's team on and off the reels with Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Do you have a gambling problem? Please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. Dave Logan, play-by-play voice of the Broncos, and our Meat Church menu of the day coming up next here on 105.3 The Fan, the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys.
celebrating like they just won a home playoff game. And why not? The final play of the game, Will Lutz from 39 yards out. And Denver, in most improbable fashion, down 19-0 starting the fourth quarter. They come from behind not once, but twice. They beat the Giants at the gun, 33-32. And Denver is in first place in the AFC West.
What a wild finish that was. Dave Logan, play-by-play voice of the Broncos as we go behind enemy lines, about 2 hours away from kickoff. Broncos, Cowboys here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Dave, thank you so much for giving us some time today. How are you doing, sir? And how crazy was that fourth quarter last week?
Oh, my pleasure, guys. It was absolutely nuts. When you think about it, the Broncos had 180 yards of total offense after three quarters. They had 227 in the fourth. They didn't have a point after three quarters and scored 33 points in the fourth, most ever in a single quarter in Broncos history. So, I mean, they lost that game 3 or 4 times, but they had enough time and certainly enough resilience to come back and win it a couple of times, and so it goes in the win column when it's all said and done.
Dave, let me ask you this, though. The way, and I'm not asking you to say a negative thing or, I'm curious about Sean and how he's handling Bo Nix, because it seems like maybe there's a little bit of like you kind of manage the game and then all of a sudden it's like, man, we got to have a play. And then Bo Nix just kind of turns on this Bo Nix we saw like at Oregon type of a player.
Yeah, I think that would be sort of the sentiment from a lot of Broncos fans. I mean, they're tickled that this team is 5-2.
Sure.
I mean, they got to the playoffs last year, first time since 2015, and so I think they're appreciative of the kind of football that Sean has brought to Denver. But they are curious, I think, with respect to why we've seen over the course of this 7-game stretch to open the season that has just taken the Broncos offense, not every week, but too many weeks to kind of get on track. And then all of a sudden, Bo kind of slips into the backyard back when he was 12 years old, starts throwing it everywhere, and you wind up winning games. I don't know if you can sustain that kind of recipe in winning, and I think that's one of the things that Sean's going to have to figure out here as we move forward in the season.
Is the key today for Denver to get the running game going against this Cowboys defense?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at J.K. Dobbins, and I think he's been a really good addition to the Broncos. Prior to last week, Dobbins had 27 carries of 6 or more yards, which ranked 5th in the league. 20 of those 27 came in the second half of play. So, yeah, you want to get Dobbins going. Yes, you want to get the running game going early. And I think it's going to be important that they sustain some drives. They stay on the field. You got to keep Dak and the Cowboy offense off the field, especially given the role that they are on. You do not want to see Dak Prescott and the Dallas offense on the field 38 minutes of this 60-minute game.
Dave, when we're very conscious of with the receivers with the Cowboys and who they have, but we're also looking across the field. Denver's got some outstanding cornerbacks, and I just want to kind of, if you could just kind of give us a thumbnail of how your guys have played, not only just this season, but in previous seasons as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you start with Pat. I think Pat Surtain's as good a corner, if not the best corner. He's as good as I've seen this year. Has tremendous size and speed and instincts. I think the thing that impresses me the most as a former wide receiver, he's a guy that he is really a student of the game, and I think he benefited obviously from growing up in a household. His dad was a great player in the league for a long time, but he's big and long and disruptive at the line of scrimmage. The other corner, Riley Moss, I think has had a pretty good year, to tell you the truth. Now he's going to get picked on because you're going to throw away from Pat Surtain as much as you can. And I think Riley will have his hands full today with either Pickens or CD. But Moss is long as well. Big corner. He can run. I think he's been better than what people believe he's been this year. So I think it's an interesting matchup. I mean, in terms of a tandem, I think Dallas with these two wide receivers as good as the Broncos have seen this year and may see for the rest of the year.
Dave, how big of a loss is Dre Greenlaw for their linebacking core?
Well, I mean, last week was his first game, and I would say this. I mean, I could feel his presence from the booth. He had 6 tackles and 21 snaps, and very physical player, running around. And so this is not a good thing for the Broncos with him not being able to play today. Justin Stranad's done a nice job stepping in, he and Singleton, but neither guy is Dre Greenlaw in terms of the physicality that Dre brings. And so I think that's a loss for sure for Denver.
Dave, we get to do a lot of draft work on DallasCowboys.com, and we loved Jahdae Barron coming out of Texas. Where's he at right now in his career with the Broncos?
Yeah, they love him too. They felt like, fellas, he was just too highly thought of to pass on. It wasn't as though they necessarily needed to fill that position, but they had him rated way up in their draft board. So very smart player, as you guys know, instinctive, a guy that can play inside, he can play outside, and I think he's just getting better week by week by week. Jaquan McMillan has had a really good start to the season, and so, but we're seeing Jahdae play more and more each game, and I think that will continue as the season goes on.
It's pretty crazy when you look at the Cowboys have not defeated the Denver Broncos in 30 years, Dave. I don't believe that you've called a single Cowboys defeat over the Broncos. You're always victorious in this matchup.
Well, first of all, the Broncos don't see the Cowboys too many times. I think I was actually broadcasting when the Cowboys did beat the Broncos the last time. But I think that this is a scary game for Denver, I'll tell you that. And I think fans have respect for what the Cowboys have been able to do, and especially on that offensive side. You can run it and throw it, and you got a quarterback that is really accurate with the ball and seems like he has settled in, his 16 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. This is a tough matchup, even for a really good Broncos defense, and I'm looking forward to broadcasting this game. I just think it's going to be one of the best on the slate today.
Dave, would you think that do you think Dallas has the advantage at quarterback? Is that kind of where this thing hinges? Because we feel like that Denver's defense is one of the best that we've seen this year ourselves.
Yeah, I think it will be. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the key for the Broncos defense is to make sure Javonte doesn't run for 100 yards, right? I mean, as crazy as it sounds, you want to take that running game away from Dak and force him to throw the ball. Not that he can't, but if he can throw it when he wants to and run it when he wants to and really kind of control the tempo, that's when the Broncos defense has gotten themselves into a little bit of trouble. They've been very good at rushing the passer, 34 sacks. They lead the league in that category. And if they can get you into 3rd down and long, then I think the advantage today will be Denver's.
Yeah, you bring up Javonte Williams, obviously. We've been so fortunate to have him in his career resurgence. What were the feelings, in your opinion, on him during his time in Denver?
Well, I mean, I love the guy. Hard-working, didn't say much, which I liked. No drama. And I think, when he had the knee injury in Denver, that really set him back. He wasn't the same player the next year, even though he battled back. I have been so impressed since he came into the league with his toughness. And he's a little bit, you don't realize how big he is until you get next to him. I mean, he's not a small back. And so I've been happy for Javonte that he's been off to a great start in his career with Dallas.
Dave, thank you so much. We can't wait for this one. Have a great call, and thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys.
There he goes, Dave Logan, play-by-play voice of the Broncos, as it's time now to crown our Meat Church menu. Whether you're a backyard griller, Cowboys tailgater, or a Pit Master Pro, Meat Church is everything you need. Visit meatchurch.com, your ultimate destination for the finest rubs, seasonings, and barbecue supplies. Matt Pittman and Meat Church, the official pit master of the Dallas Cowboys. Did get a couple of late additions. Brian.
Okay.
All right, we go to D.C. Tom in D.C. My Meat Church Cowboy Sunday is smoked turkey chili, all the way from D.C. Meat Church Blanco and the Gospel smoked turkey with fire-roasted tomatoes and a Cuban smoked New York strip as a garnish. Wow. Go Cowboys from Tom in D.C. And then from the 469, hot dog bun, brisket, peppers and onions, chili queso with bacon, served with fried potato wedges.
I'll tell you what, man. I like the simplicity of the last one, believe it or not. But, man, like to me, there's sometimes like I like the use of the Blanco, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Everybody seems to have figured out, and I know Matt is really, really proud of that spice as well. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to vote for the simplicity of the final one.
Okay, the hot dog.
Yeah.
From the 469.
Yeah. I'm feeling very tailgatey today.
Okay. Well, the tailgatey. So, Brian, your menu item is going to be the 469. I'm going to go back to Pete and Justin. I thought you did a great job, Pete.
Yeah.
The apple cherry habanero ribs, loaded baked potato salad with meat church blanco seasoning.
There you go.
The Wagyu butter burgers and bacon wrap stuffed venison backstrap. I got to try that bacon wrap stuffed venison. Pete, you're going to need to send some over our way here at our studios. That sounds absolutely fantastic. So keep those flowing in. Thank you so much. And, of course, we love our friends over at Meat Church. Okay, a lot more to go as we get closer and closer to kickoff. We got Babe Laufenberg. We got Tracy Wolfson joining us from CBS. That and more. Pregame rolls on. Cowboys, Broncos, getting closer here on 105.3 The Fan.
Bell Nunley.
Cowboys pregame show brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods, get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Just a little over 2 hours from kickoff here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Brought to you by Reliant, proud to power the home of the Cowboys and the homes of Cowboys fans across Texas. Reliant, official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wolchuck, alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan, Broaddus. It's Cowboys, Broncos from Denver, and we head out to Mile High. Babe Laufenberg joining us now. Babe, how the heck are you, sir?
I am great. Just had a nice conversation with Dave Logan after you guys got him off the air. Really nice guy. But do you know that he is the answer to a trivia question?
What question would that be, babe?
Is it him and Brian Brennan did something together one time back in the day?
No. There are two people. I think this still holds true. I know it was for the longest time. Two people who have been drafted by the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball.
Wow.
Dave Logan is one. Dave Winfield is the other.
Yeah.
How about that, though? 3 professional sports draft you. So quite an athlete, Dave Logan.
University of Colorado, though, right? Isn't that where he played?
Yep.
Yeah,
and then he played for Cleveland
right.
in the NFL.
Right.
I was like, why didn't you go play baseball? Why would you go play football?
I know Pat Riley from the Hall of Fame basketball coach was drafted by 2 sports. Matter of fact, the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys drafted him.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I don't even think, did he play football, Brian? Which sounds like a dumb question.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think they just won it back. Well, and that was back in the day when you had 32 rounds of the draft or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Man, what a couple of talented Daves. All right, babe.
Yeah.
We got a good coaching matchup today. The man who has been rumored for decades, it feels like, to be the next coach of the Cowboys, Sean Payton, against the now current coach of the Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer. What do you think about Payton versus Schotty?
Well, it's interesting because I asked Brian Schottenheimer during the week at his press conference, do you look at it, they'll never be calling plays against each other, right? Payton calls them on offense. Schottenheimer obviously calls them on offense. So it's not like your offense going against his defense. But he downplayed it and said, no, I don't look at it that way. I guarantee you he looks at it that way. Because Sean Payton, as we all know, well-respected. You mentioned Sean Payton, offensive guru, genius. His offense is all that kind of stuff. What he did with Drew Brees. You look at that as a challenge. And I don't care how humble you are. And Brian Schottenheimer tells us how humble he is all the time. I would look at it as a challenge, right? I mean, I would say, hey, I want to walk out of this thing where people say, wow, that Brian Schottenheimer offense was better than the Sean Payton offense today. So, and here's a quick one for you. Brian Schottenheimer, of course, Cowboys play caller, head coach, first-time head coach. The last time a first-time head coach led the NFL in offense, total yardage, was Sean Payton in 2006 with New Orleans. Yeah. So Cowboys currently obviously have the number 1 offense, yardage-wise. And so he would be the first one, if this continues, since Sean Payton, to be that first-time head coach with the number 1 offense.
Babe, Metrics last week told you to play man coverage against Daniels. Metrics tells you should play zone coverage against this young man. Are the Cowboys ready to play better zone coverage today?
You would hope so. I'd love to say yes, they are, but we don't really know until they get into the thing. But I will tell you this, too. I know we talked about metrics and analytics, told you to play man last week against Washington. What told you to play man was they were out their top 3 receivers. So Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims are going to be a little bit different than what they faced last week. So if you want to lock them up in man coverage. The other thing I loved, Matt Eberflus this week at his press conference, he said analytics tells you some things. He said the tape tells you the truth. So while the analytics may say do this or do that, you've got to look at what you do well, what the other team does well, it's all a matchup game, as we all know. So it's great that analytics tells you this, but you got to look, do we have the people to do it against what they bring to the table?
Yeah, but it's funny that he mentioned last week that analytics played a role in it.
Sure.
He brought that up himself.
Yeah,
So
both of them. Schottenheimer and clearly it was.
Yeah, I was like thinking, well, okay, yeah, the tape shows you can watch and see what you have to do against, but then he threw in there the analytics, because everybody was asking him, why would you play more man coverage?
Yeah.
And then he fires off the numbers and analytics would tell you that's what you do against this guy. So, it's like I say, it serves to whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
All right, Bo Nix, babe. One of these quarterbacks in that loaded 2024 draft to me, it was a surprisingly good rookie season. Bryan and I were not the Bo Nix fan club guys. What are you thinking about Bo Nix here in year 2 so far?
Still a developing player, as we all know, and most players are, obviously, especially quarterbacks in their second year. I will tell you, and I posted it to my Twitter, @BabeLaufenberg, I was a Bo Nix fan coming out.
You were?
And so, and you can go back and look at my Twitter. It was pre-draft that I did this analysis. But, no, I was a Nix fan coming out. I saw a lot of good things. And I always preface it with the fact that, hey, I don't get to interview the guy. You don't get to talk to people. You don't get to know, is it important? Is he smart? Is he going to be handle the money? All that stuff. But everything indicated that was not going to be an issue. But here's the funny thing about that draft, too. And 6 guys, came out of it. 6 taken in the top 12. And I said at the time, 2 of these guys are going to be perennial Pro Bowlers. Maybe you get a Hall of Famer out of one of them. 2 of them are going to be serviceable starters. And they're going to be backups at some point, maybe like a Marcus Mariota. 5-6 years in, people say, hey, this isn't the guy. And 2 of them are probably going to wash out. But the problem is I couldn't tell you which 2 were going to be in which category. So, all these 6 guys, they start their careers together. And, again, they're not all going to the Hall of Fame. We know that, right? But it's hard to kind of determine, hey, who's going to be that guy. But I'll go back to that draft, too, that 2024 draft, right? And Denver took Bo Nix at 12. The New York Jets had the pick at 11. They took an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Why? You're the New York Jets. You haven't had a quarterback since Joe Namath went to the Rams, and you don't take Bo Nix? I mean, that's how the Jets are 0-7 or 0-8, whatever.
Jets gonna jet.
I mean, that's just like, seriously, you have no quarterback. And there is a quarterback there. Who knows how good he's going to be, but at least he had the potential, to be a really good starter in Bo Nix. And you pass him up. And Sean Payton said, well, thank you very much. I'll take him.
Babe, I'm going to give you your choice. It's either give me the path to victory for your defense or the path to victory for your offense today.
I love that. I love that question. Path to victory for the offense is to score 50 because Denver will probably score 48.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys know, you do these games, and you sit there and you say, hey, it's going to be high scoring, and I believe this is like the total over-under on points. I think this is the largest over-under in the NFL this week, if I'm phrasing that correctly. Obviously, I'm not a gambler. But and then they kick it off.
We didn't mistake you for Terry Rozier. No, we didn't.
Yeah, no, oh, God.
Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups, yeah.
Hey, Warren Buffett.
Colorado guy, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. That's big news here. It's big news around the country, but here especially. But I always go back to Warren Buffett, right? He's worth literally $400 billion. Depending on how the market goes, he's worth $440 billion when he wakes up and goes to bed the next day. He's worth $460. But he said, gambling is a tax on ignorance. And it is so true. So I hope we don't have any, we don't have any gambling affiliation here that we deal with. But I'm sorry, and now I got confused once I got to
Give me your
Buffett,
path to victory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the game kicks off. Again, it's going to be high scoring. We know that. And all of a sudden, it's 13-10 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And everything we thought we knew is out the window. Defensively, for the Cowboys, we talked about the offense. We think they're going to be good. Obviously, going against their best defense that they have faced this year, especially with Jalen Carter going out for Philadelphia, before the first snap. We know it's going to be a little more tough sledding than it has been recently for the Cowboys offense, just by virtue of how good Denver's defense is. But the Cowboys just can't give up those stupid coverage, miscommunication, big plays. You just, I know it sounds very simplistic, but you got to make them earn it. And I think they can handle the Broncos offense, reasonably well if they don't give up, again, those stupid big plays. Hey, that's right. Denver gave up one last week. Coverage, they got the tight end, New York Giants, wide open down the middle, nobody within 20 yards of him. Everybody just looking at each other going, I thought you had him. I thought, hey, wait a minute, you're deep. So the Cowboys can't stand around looking at each other as a Bronco runs free saying, wait a minute, I thought I gave you this call. So hopefully, what are we in, week 8 now? Hopefully some of those issues have been solved, but, we're going to find out.
Babe, thank you, man. We'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Okay, thank you both. Thank you, guys.
There he goes, Babe Laufenberg, of course, part of our call with Brad Sham and Christy. But now let's go down to the field for our next guest.
3 memorable interviews I've done in my career. Let's start with the kick 6, Auburn, Alabama. Chris Davis being carried on one of his teammates' shoulders, and I had to grab him down just to get that interview. Number 2, my first Super Bowl interview and Peyton Manning's final interview.
I want to go kiss my wife and my kids. I want to go, hug my family.
My third and final memorable interview. Now, I know you're going to think that I'm going to say the Tom Brady Super Bowl interview. I mean, where's your camera? Tom, just congratulations. But no, just recently, in the national championship game, Hubert Davis. It's live action, Tracy. It's live action. How would you assess what you've seen?
We're competing out there. It's live action, Tracy. It's live action out there.
Amazing. The one and only Tracy Wolfson joining us here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Tracy, how are you? Did that bring back some fond memories?
Totally. You guys have me cracking up down here. That was awesome. Thank you.
So I know those were your all-timers, but I got to follow up with, is there a least favorite maybe that comes to mind?
I think it's always with Bill Belichick. It's got to be. Whether it's behind closed doors in a meeting where, I ask him a tough question and he just looks at me like, what are you doing? I'm not going to answer that. It's halftime where I ask him how he's going to protect someone better and he's like, just stares at me and just uncomfortably. So it's got to be a Bill Belichick moment.
Tracy, has he ever afterwards seen you at a league meeting or something like that or an event and said, you ask really good questions? Because I think you do. I mean, I'm not just saying that. You do a hell of a job. I grew up watching you on the SEC network and all that, or SEC football and all. But is anybody does he ever said, man, you've asked some really good questions. I'm sorry I haven't given you any good answers?
Well, unfortunately, no.
No.
He has never said that.
Okay.
Maybe I got to smile at him once or twice. That's about it. But I appreciate the compliment. It is certainly something I pride myself on and something I've worked on throughout my career.
Well, what were your takeaways with your visits with Bryan Schottenheimer and the Cowboys?
Yeah, it was great. Certainly first time talking with him as head coach and working with the Cowboys this year. And, I think they come in with a lot of confidence after last week's game. And you can just, see on both sides of the ball, especially that defensive side, which has been struggling. They felt like they found something there. I know they'll be without 3 starters in the secondary coming into this game, which, could cause some issues. But I do feel like they found something that they can hang their hat on and feel confident going in. And I think Dak, you guys know it better than anyone, is just playing at an all-time high. And, I thought it was interesting. I asked Shotty about, what has been the difference? Is it just health? Feeling 100% coming in? And he talked about his footwork and how much he worked in the off season on his footwork and just shorter back steps and his cleats in the ground and firmness. And I just thought he spent 5 hours a day every day, and we know how diligent Dak could be, and just honing his craft at this point in his career. And Shotty said you could see, a complete difference. The confidence level is at an all-time high right now. And you just look from top to bottom on the offense at every skill position. We know we'll talk about Javonte Williams returning to Denver, but what he's been able to do for this defense, this offense as well.
Yeah, Tracy, you get to see the Broncos play far more than you get to see the Cowboys nowadays. What should we expect from Denver today, or what, really all season from the times you've been able to study them and be around them?
Yeah, we had them against Philadelphia, which was certainly a huge statement win for them. But I think when you look at this Denver team, and they're coming off a ridiculous and probable comeback over the Giants last week, but while they were excited, elated, I mean, they had to really focus on what they're doing wrong offensively. These slow starts are killing them. We know eventually coming from behind is just not going to work, and so getting off to a faster start is going to be important. Limiting those penalties and those mistakes going to be important. We know their defense is one of the best in the league, but offensively, I'm interested to see how they come out to start this game. They don't script plays for Bo Nix. It seems as though they hold back a little bit in terms of what he can do, what he loves, and you saw this in Oregon, is the way he plays fast, the tempo, and then using his athleticism. And it seems as though they wait a little bit longer in the game to get to that point and use it when they actually need it. So I'm curious to see if we see that a little earlier on, because they're going to need to get off to that fast start. They want to keep Dallas's defense on the field in this high altitude, and certainly they don't want Dallas's offense out there. So long drives for them are going to be key.
Yeah, you bring up the altitude. Certainly that was a topic of conversation for us. Cowboys only go to Denver once every 8 years. So in your experience calling these games, have you ever had the altitude sickness? But how big is that for the opposing team coming into Denver?
Yeah, I haven't, but I could tell you I was just trying to get some steps in around the stadium, and I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm in pretty good shape. Even talking to you guys right now, you got to take the extra breath, but it is a real thing, and especially down the stretch of a game after a while. It's all about hydration, and you just can focus on that, really. There's not really much more you can do. Talking to the Cowboys, that's what they've been doing, but it is certainly a real thing. I think one of the fun storylines coming into this game potentially, though, is Brandon Aubrey, and can we see that first regular season 70-yard field goal? And in this altitude, it's thin air. It is absolutely beautiful. It's cloud coverage, but the weather is perfect. There's really no wind. And maybe he'd like a little wind, to help. But we'll see in warm-ups, how far, it goes through the goalposts and whether he, can attempt it. But I wouldn't be surprised, end of half, end of game, if we see that. So it could be a historic moment here in Denver.
Well, Tracy, whatever sideline fix you could do to help our Cowboys defense, we'd sure appreciate it. If there's anything, you're patrolling, you saw something on a grease board or something you want to share, we'd love to have it from you today.
Well, my eyes and ears, I'm always listening and watching. I have no, intel right now, but I will be watching throughout that game. And, like I said, I think what we saw last week was a step in the right direction. We'll see, especially with those injuries, if they can replicate that and contain this offense.
So what do you have planned for the Javonte Williams return to Denver today on the broadcast?
Yeah, personally, talking to him this week, he said all the right things, but I think it's really the fact that he's 100% healthy. And it took him 2 years to get over that injury to his knee where he tore 3 ligaments. And so the end of his time in Denver was not who he was. And now he's playing at an all-time high. He feels 100%. He's talked about, his confidence level now, and he really lost that for a while there in Denver. So this is really another coming out party, kind of showing that, maybe had they stuck with him an extra year or so, he would have been at the level like he was before, but certainly the Cowboys are benefiting from it.
Well, Tracy, we've always got to ask you a question. The beloved alum of Michigan,
of course.
Yeah,
Go Blue.
It's been Go Blue. It's has it been the season? I know you got the big victory at Michigan State, but what do you think about the season so far? And if the season hasn't been this good, it's probably because you didn't give them a speech to start the season, right?
That's right.
You're right. It is time to bring me in again.
I think so.
You are correct. No, honestly, the expectations are always high at Michigan, and certainly especially when you go out and get a quarterback like Bryce Underwood. But to be honest, we're really a year away. We're extremely young. I hate using the word we, but that's just how it comes
go for
out.
it. That's you.
We are extremely young. We've got a ton of talent. We've got a ton of talent coming in next year. And so this wasn't necessarily the year you thought you'd be able to go to a national championship game.
Sure.
And honestly, I didn't even know if we make the playoffs, and we're still kind of on that bubble. If we can get to Ohio State and maybe pull off a 4th straight win, I mean, that's huge. But, yes, it's frustrating at times because I know what this team has. I think some of the play calling at times you're frustrated with. But again, they're really young. And, I think the expectations are really going forward. So, yeah, as a Michigan fan, we're always expecting the best, the leaders and the best. And so, it is, I got to tell you, yesterday I couldn't really watch the whole game because I was somewhere I couldn't pull my phone out. And I look and I go into this room without my phone. I see on a screen says 10-7, and I just wanted to throw up. So, that's kind of how we are as Michigan fans. It's too close for our liking, and I know we pulled away at the end there. But I'd like to see some domination here and there, But that's not the game. That's not the team we have right now. We've got a lot of injuries we're dealing with as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens down the stretch. But I will be in Ann Arbor for that Ohio State game.
There you go.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, that's a Michigan win then for sure. If you're on the sidelines,
you're right,
hanging out, it's going to be a win.
You're on in Ohio State.
And
I bring the aura.
Yeah, and Coach, give her a headset. Give her a headset. And let her chime in when need be, for sure.
Tracy, you're the best. Thank you so much. Have a great call. We'll be listening.
Thank you. Love being on with you guys. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you so much. He's the best. Tracy Wolfson with us here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys, as we are well under 2 hours now from kick. And the Broncos and Cowboys out there seeing some footage, warm-ups. Broncos wearing those orange crush jerseys. I know those bring back fond memories for you, Bryan. It's 1977.
1977 at the New Orleans Superdome at the time. Yeah, Harvey Martin, Randy White, co-MVPs. And this is like when you could tackle quarterbacks around the head, and Craig Morton got hit around the head a bunch in that game. But a great victory for the Cowboys that day. And the Broncos have a great history.
They do.
They really, really do. You go back to the AFL days and then NFL days, and it's not just John Elway. I mean, they've had some outstanding teams over the year, and those uniforms are iconic, the ones they have.
They look fantastic.
But so are the Cowboys.
Yeah,
so it'll be kind of a cool game today.
It's going to be a fun color clash. Quick scoreboard update for you. 17-3. Dolphins are on top of the Falcons with Kirk Cousins quarterbacking in place of Michael Penix Jr. To start the third quarter. And as we're kind of on Trey Hendrickson watch, Cincinnati up 24-13 over the Jets at home. A win would put them at 4-4, and the Patriots leading the Browns at home 16-7, looking to make it 6-2 on the season.
Playing well.
They are.
Mike Vrabel. Yep.
They are. Houston's leading San Francisco at home 16-7. C.J. Stroud having a nice day, 235 yards and a touchdown. He's got a touchdown strike to Jaden Higgins. Bills just tacked on a field goal, 26-3. They're up on the Panthers in the third quarter, and the Ravens looking for their second victory of the season, up 13-6 late in the third quarter against the Bears. Bears riding that big win streak that started against the Cowboys. All right, we'll also let you know what's happening in Filthy. Giants, Eagles update, plus our Zebra report as the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys rolls on here on 105.3 The Fan.
Dallas Cowboys fans know a thing or
never been my strong suit. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan. Broaddus, let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds for station ID here on 105.3 The Fan.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Go low, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
Official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys brought to you by United Healthcare. It is the proud official healthcare partner of your Dallas Cowboys, bringing coverage you can count on to Cowboys territory. Learn more at uhc.com. Had this little nugget for you, Bryan. After today, this is courtesy of RJ Ochoa, blogging the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys are going to play only one game on a Sunday until week 15, which is December 14th. They've got today's game on Sunday, then Monday night at home against the Cardinals, bye week, Monday night on the road against Vegas. Then they play against the Eagles at home on Sunday before Thanksgiving, and then the following Thursday night game at Detroit, and then they get their Sundays back.
Well, and then you've got you got the game on Christmas Day, which is Thursday. That's at the Commanders. I kind of felt like that might be for a playoff spot when I looked at the schedule.
Well could be.
That maybe that's the final, maybe that's the one game winners in, losers out kind of a scenario there. So it's about to get a little crazy for your football team and those mixed up schedules and stuff.
Washington playing Monday night tomorrow in Kansas City against the Chiefs. They will not have Jaden Daniels. It will be Marcus Mariota getting the start there for the Commanders. Eagles, though, are all over the Giants right now.
Giants just got a sack.
Here we go. Okay. Raheem Nunez-Roches, 21-10 in the third quarter. Eagles leading the Giants. If you missed it, Cam Scatterbo had a really gruesome-looking injury. It appeared like it was a broken ankle, and he got carted off the field. The reaction immediately from Jackson Dart and the rest of the Giants, it did not look good. And from a Cowboys standpoint, we'll get to Christy Scales coming up on the other side to get more information. Jack Sanborn went out, tried out the groin, and he has been ruled out for today. So Jack Sanborn will be out for your Cowboys. Of course, Trayvon Diggs went on IR yesterday. Cooper Beebe is not going to be playing today. They are not going to lift him from the reserve DFR list until probably next week. Wanye Thomas at safety did not travel with the team. He's been ruled out with a migraine. So the Cowboys likely starting the rookie Elijah Clark next to Marquise Bell at safety today. And we'll get more information from Christy. But how about we get a little Zebra report, shall we, Bryan?
Yeah, you got Carl Sheffers as your official for today's game. And Carl Sheffers is going in today's game. There's some officials that have refereed 7 games already. Carl has only officiated 6, him and his crew. Still top 5 in penalties when you look at him and his crew. They've had 105 calls in 6 games. They've had 2 games where they've had 22 calls in a game. That was Cleveland and Green Bay and Seattle and Houston. So here's a crew that will call some, will get some penalty calls. You got 45 of these calls of the 105. 45 of them have gone against the home team, where 60 of them has gone against the visitors. So keep an eye on that as the day wears on. Offensive holding, a big one. It seems to be the home team though has been getting the majority of those calls as opposed to the away team. Then defensive pass interference, that has been the away team, has been getting more of those calls. Offsides is something that really is kind of a team thing. That's a discipline thing, not something the officials have to deal with. Here's the one you need to keep an eye on. And it's interesting because for Carl's crew, it's delay of the game. So those are the clock watchers, but what's unique is 6 games, 7 calls for delay of the game.
Wow.
Okay. Now, 6 of the 7 calls have gone against the home team and not against the visitors. So Dak has played in this stadium before. Dak is a veteran quarterback. So he'll go out there, he'll find the clocks. Schotty needs to be aware. But yeah, you don't want to make it close with Carl Sheffers and his crew because they will nab you for that. 1 a game. Unnecessary roughness is another big call that they make. There's 7 of those. Defensive holding, 7 of those. And then they've also had we talked about defensive pass interference was one of the top ones. Well, offensive pass interference, they've had 3 of the 6 games they've had this year. They've had an offensive pass interference call. All right, now what do I say? Oh, wait, keep an eye on this. George Pickens. Yeah.
Maybe a little push off.
If it all of a sudden turns into him and Riley Moss hand fighting down the field, or him and Patrick Surtain, let's make sure that a big play doesn't go by the wayside because of an offensive pass interference. I think if I was Brian Schottenheimer and the coaching staff, I would remind George Pickens, like, hey, as you fight, be careful. This is a crew that half the time they're going to get us for an OPI. So just be mindful. Hopefully not a huge play goes by the wayside because George maybe put Riley Moss in a bad spot and the officials thought it was an OPI call.
So when it comes to this Cowboys offense versus the Broncos defense, we know this Denver defense is littered with talent, as is this Cowboys offense. I mean, this is going to be a blast. It's best on best. You said it earlier. You're not really scared when it comes to, hey, Patrick Surtain II is amazing, arguably the best corner in football, but you got 2 studs yourself with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens.
If this was a game where we were trotting Ryan Flanoy out there as a weapon and maybe Tolbert as a weapon. We'll see if Tolbert, by the way.
Mingo is inactive today, Brian.
So it's Mingo.
Mingo is inactive.
Okay,
so they're going to stick with what they've been rocking with.
That's what you get when you get a victory. When you get a victory, coaches are really reluctant to change the lineup too much.
And you're right, because Mozzie Smith active, Jay Toia inactive.
There you go. Well, so with that, so Mingo. Once again, we kind of thought about, who will be the guy that that takes the seat this week? Last week, Stephen Jones came on with us on Friday and said, will this be another week where we won't have Mingo?
Yeah.
Well, this looks like to me kind of a healthy scratch again.
Absolutely.
If you're thinking about things, so they really do like Ryan Flanoy, and they obviously feel good enough about Tolbert to continue on with the offense.
Well, all the Flanoy love, I can certainly support. Now, Jake Ferguson has been on a historic start to the season. The one area that I do think maybe Denver has a weakness is I don't know how good their safeties are in coverage.
No, there have been some issues where with Brandon Jones and then Hufanga. They've had some. Hufanga is kind of a guy that when you watch him play, he wears number 9. And he's around the line of scrimmage guy. And for as well as he could tackle at times, he could have some big-time misses, though, too. His body control and balance isn't always that great. So if and he came over from the 49ers, because he's a
big hitter.
Yeah, we've seen him before.
Not his strength
at all. And then also too with Dre Greenlaw being out, how will Alex Singleton and you mentioned Sternad, he's another guy that Dave Logan talked about has been playing at a pretty nice level for them. But having no Dre Greenlaw in coverage, I think, hurts them as well.
Yeah, if you can protect, and we talked about this earlier, like, hey, is it an extra lineman? Is it, Lipke? And is it maybe more Brevin Spanford to try and help contain?
Yeah.
Whether it is, the big boys in the middle, DJ Jones, Sean Franklin. I mean, Zach Allen is a guy that can really get after it as a pass rusher as well, which you don't typically have with your 3-4 ends. But, Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper are the fear. But if you can block it up, that there could be room for opportunities down the field for these Cowboys receivers.
There absolutely could be some room for Cowboys receivers, but it as you mentioned, it is going to be how do the inside 3 play? Gosh, I was hoping it was going to be Cooper Beebe. Everything was pointing to him being that guy that was going to be back in the lineup, and he was real close and talking to people, but just woke up yesterday and was not able to go. So it's Brock Hoffman, and if you remember the Carolina game, they had some problems with the big inside players there for the Carolina Panthers. Hopefully, that same thing doesn't show up here against the Broncos.
So you mentioned with Babe, it's zone that Bo Nix has more of a problem with, which is the opposite last week to what you dealt with in Jaden Daniels. And the big conversation with Flus in this defense is, well, your personnel is probably better suited for man. But today, if the quarterback that you're playing is better against man coverage than he is zone. Are you expecting Flus to go back and call more zone?
Yeah, I would. I know that Babe didn't want to have the he didn't want to have the analytics talk, but the only reason I bring it up is because the head coach brought it up.
Yeah, they're going to acknowledge it. It's clearly something they're looking at.
I'm with Babe. I think watching the tape shows that hey, this guy has problems, in some zone coverage, and and even the fact that they don't use a lot of motion tells you that they want that defense to be static. They don't want the defense to be moving around because they want the quarterback to be able to have a kind of a clean read. So the Titans, the Giants, and the Broncos, all with either rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback, their coaches aren't interested in moving guys around very much and trying to confuse their guys.
My big fear is Bo Nix with his legs.
Well, there's going to be some design runs, and there's going to be some rollouts too that are the design rollouts that are going to be passes that are going to be thrown off the outside plays.
Do you think that the Cowboys can have success running the football?
It is going to be difficult, and I say difficult because of the way that the Broncos the way that their inside guys play. That's just the only and I like Singleton, the linebacker. I think he plays he plays at the point of attack well. You will see him kind of run under some blocks, run around blocks. Some of these linebackers tend to do that. But man, the Cowboys are going to have to, like I say, I don't know if you necessarily want to get, if you said, hey, let me handle one or the other in this game, I'd love for Dallas to be able to run the ball and just kind of and win the game that way. But I think it's going to have to be, you're going to have to try and find a way to stop Denver's pass rush.
Right.
And maybe the runs are going to come off script. Maybe it's like, because we talked about first down sacks 10, third down sacks 14. And, but the sack, there hasn't been any second down sacks, and there's only been a couple on fourth down that they've had. So maybe you're going to have to think about a little play calling, a little zigging when you need to zag.
Well, it's going to be certainly a test because the Cowboys have, when it comes to third down offense, they're one of the better in the NFL, seventh overall. But the Broncos, best third down defense in the league. So staying ahead of the chains, making it, you're not putting Dak in like a 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8 situation to where now you can really pin your heels back and go and get after the passer. That could be critical today as well for the Cowboys to be able to sustain drives and stay on the field.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned about, with Perkins and then also, Pickens and then also Lamb, and you mentioned Ferguson. I mean, those have to be the way that the Cowboys travel today. But and the Cowboys, like I say, they've run a lot less 11 personnel this year than they have in the past. So we'll see how maybe Dallas will see some extra linemen in there as blockers, and maybe we'll see some extra tight ends as well.
877-881-1053. Give us your Cowboys pregame predictions. Are they getting the win for the first time in 30 years over these Broncos? Christy Scales joining us next. Of course, we will also have our Coach's Corner with Brad Sham. We'll get our view from the owner's box with Jerry or Stephen Jones. So much more as the pregame show rolls on here on 105.3 The Fan.
icons with blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
All right, I'm calling it the get-back game. I know Eric likes to do this. You got to get one back. You dropped a couple that you didn't think you would earlier in the year to Chicago and Carolina. Coming into this season, I didn't think the Cowboys were going to go on the road to Denver and get a win. You need to. You need to get one back in the win column today. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus as we go back out to the field in Denver. Christy Scales joining us now. Christy, how the heck are you, and what is the plan at DB today? Because the Cowboys are pretty freaking banged up.
Yeah, both safeties are down, injured, and so actually top three, if you consider Malik Hooker, has been on injured reserve for several weeks now, and you're playing without Donovan Wilson and Wanye Thomas. So Marquise Bell and then the rookie Elijah Clark will get the start. And your backup safeties are two cornerbacks. Reddy Stewart, who's been mainly playing in the slot at cornerback, and then Corey Ballantyne, who was signed last month after Zion Childress got plucked off the practice squad. They signed Ballantyne, and he's a cornerback, but he worked just like Reddy Stewart did in practice this week at backup safety. And one of those things when you're a backup cornerback, and talking with David Overstreet, who's the DB's coach for the Cowboys, he was saying that Reddy Stewart, and of course he coached Reddy in Chicago with the Bears, that he's just one of these guys that learns all of the positions, including safety, just so that he can have a full grasp of the entire secondary and the entire defense, and learn more about communication and the like. And Ballantyne has taken that approach since being with the Cowboys the past month. So that's the situation you're at safety. Your two backup cornerbacks are now your backup safeties. And because Reddy Stewart has been working mainly at backup safety this week, Deron Bland is going to start outside at cornerback opposite Kyer Elam, and then when they go in the nickel, it'll be just like last week's situation where Deron Bland will move inside, and you'll have the rookie Triquez Bridges playing outside in Bland's spot. So, Triquez is a guy that ended up playing 79% of the snaps last week in his first extensive action at cornerback. So he got a heavy dose, and then Bland and Elam each took 100% of the snaps last week. So, yeah, that's what we're down to at cornerback now. And safety, fellas.
Well, Christy, real quick though, congratulations on your alumni award. Congratulations to your alma mater, Texas A&M, last night. But I also
very gracious of you as a Tiger.
Well,
Thank you.
When you get your ass kicked, you got to admit it. The thing about it was, okay, I want to ask you real quick, and I don't know how much you know about the whole thing. Childress was with you all summer, and do they feel like that Ballantyne, just because he's been here the last several weeks, is that why they maybe don't go with Childress here? I'm kind of trying to figure that out.
Well, when Childress got plucked off the practice squad by Houston and it opened the spot, they brought Ballantyne in, and this is a guy that has he has 70 career games in his
so as
an NFL
deal.
player.
Okay,
so he's a veteran guy, and I think they just kind of. That's what they're down to, fellas. I mean, this is about it,
Crazy.
But yeah, this is a guy that the Cowboys are his 9th NFL team.
Right.
Okay. 6 years in the league, but has been bouncing around, and so most of his. The starts in his career, or playing time in his career, came as a Packer, but he is a former New York Giants 6th round pick. But I think Elijah Clark has been active the past 4 games and stuff, and just steadily getting more. But I mean, it is a full dose this week with Wanye Thomas. That wasn't for sure until late in the week that he was not going to be able to play, and so then they announced yesterday morning that he wasn't going to travel with the team. So a little bit of surprise. And I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about Jack Sanborn, the linebacker, not being available. He had tweaked that groin and was struggling with it a little bit during the week, and he was the game time decision. So with him being inactive, that means that Damone Clark will be active and will be backup linebacker and working special teams. One other thing, I mentioned special teams because it's a domino effect with a guy like Wanye Thomas missing the game with a migraine. They're going to do the same thing today that they did last week, and they're going to have Malik Davis, who's the backup running back. He's been elevated 2 weeks in a row out the practice squad, and he takes Wanye's spot in punt coverage as the personal protector on punts.
Wow. Are we expecting a Brandon Aubrey record today, Christy?
Well, you know what? He just kicked one. Oh, no, that was a kickoff. I got excited there because he's at his own 35. But no, that was a kickoff.
Sometimes.
That was a kickoff. All right. Malik Davis is back there. He's going to be a backup kickoff returner. But I thought, whoa, that is very ambitious. I have not had a chance to talk to Brandon. The specialists are still on the field as to whether or not he thinks this high altitude, if he'll have like an extra maybe 5 yards or 7 yards distance on the field goals. Did talk with Bryan Anger, and he's only played here a couple times, most recently when he was still with Jacksonville, so it's been a while. He had a couple games in college in Boulder, and he said that he just doesn't quite have a feel yet on the yardage, how the ball will carry with the punts. The one thing he said is going to be a challenge for Brandon Aubrey is on the kickoffs, because when you're kicking off, you want it to be in the landing zone, right? To land between the 20-yard line and the goal line. And he says, I think that's going to be the challenge because Brandon barely kicks the ball anyway. He's got such great form and such a strong leg that he just barely, chips it to get in the landing zone. And so, that's one thing that Brandon's working on right now, extra time in these pregame warm-ups, is to try and gauge that distance so that he doesn't kick a touchback every time. And I also talked with Cavante Turpin during the week, because when we think about altitude, we think, oh, it's great distance well, it makes it challenging for the returners, does it not? Because the ball carries, especially with the punt returns and the like. And I said, are you going to spend any extra time out there in pregame, gauging for the punts? And he said, no, I think I'll have it after a few. So yeah, he's fielding one right now and fielded it pretty cleanly. But I just think it's going to be a challenge overall today on special teams, because Marvin Mims Jr., their all-pro returner. Yeah, Frisco Lone Star High School. He is amazing. And
thank you, Christy. We'll catch up with you again here soon. Of course, we got our owner's box waiting as we get into the final hour pregame here on The Fan.
Cowboys fans, here's the game plan. Touchdown Tuesday at Take 5 Oil Change.
Cowboys Radio Network is on the air.
Deep fade, left corner of the end zone, 1-for-1. Caught the ball. Touchdown. Touchdown, Cowboys.
With Brad Schaub, Abe Loffenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiafalo, and Brian Broaddus. Brought to you by
AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
Also brought to you by
Bell Nunnally, behind every great company. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Tyson Foods, get your Tyson Cowboys Star Nuggets available now. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here's Eric Chiafalo and Brian Broaddus.
All right, under an hour until kickoff. Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus, the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys looking for their first win in Denver since 1992. It's the preview, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Brian, the Cowboys, if they're going to do this, Denver holding a 9-5 overall series victory, and the Cowboys not beating the Broncos in 30 years, what is the path to get this one done?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can go here. Offensively, it's really easy to kind of focus on Dallas and what they've done the last 7 weeks. They've been outstanding. This will be very difficult for Vance Joseph, even with the cornerbacks he has, with the pass rush, the down lineman he has. This will be a difficult game for him to have to try and navigate with all the weapons. I really think this is going to come down to I think that Sean Payton is going to try and do something that the Commanders didn't do last week, and that's run the ball. I think he's going to look at the game plan that Carolina had against you. And what Dallas has to be very mindful of, when Denver plays against stacked box, they're 28th in the league when it comes to running the football. If you believe in metrics, and we've kind of talked about, it's been a metrics day for all of us, but if you look at the eye test and you look at how Denver runs the ball, playing stack box against these guys probably, and we saw a little bit of it last week. We saw some 8-9-man box, against. Now, the Commanders didn't have two of their wide receivers, and I kind of feel like that Daniels is a better quarterback than what you have with Nix. So will Dallas get in this game and try and say, listen, Bo Nix, let's see if you're good enough to throw the ball and beat us today. And maybe we'll see Dallas get into some of those 8-9-man looks and try and get Denver out of it. Because I think Sean Payton's going to come into this game trying to run the football.
I agree, and I wonder if he's, the play action game, is he looking at, okay, the Cowboys with the backup safeties now, you don't have Donovan Wilson, you don't have Malik Hooker, obviously, and no Wanye Thomas, you're going with the rookie Elijah Clark and Marquise Bell.
Yeah.
Does he think there's some matchups there, especially maybe with tight ends and Evan Ingram, that they can exploit? Inside the Numbers, brought to you by SeatGeek, the number 4. Dallas has recorded at least one takeaway with 0 giveaways in each of the last 4 games. That's the longest streak in franchise history. They're going to need to force some turnovers today against Bo Nix. Always, Brian Schottenheimer talks about that, winning the turnover margin. That's kind of Captain Obvious, right? If you go ahead and you get plus, and you're plus minus, you're positive in the turnover margin, you got a better shot to win the football game.
Yeah, I watched LSU last night be plus in that and completely fall apart. Not good. But with the Cowboys though, this is kind of the recipe, and especially if you get some short opportunities. I know Bobby Belt very early in the broadcast was talking about the Bo Nix throw from the pocket or Bo Nix throw on the move that goes across the field that's over everybody's head. So these young safeties have got to be alert. If all of a sudden you're in position and that ball, you got to be ready for that ball to come. Elijah Clark, you got to be ready for that. And Marquise Bell, if that ball's overshot and you're in that kind of the position, be aware this guy will sail one or two.
He will.
And then you've got to find a way to bring that thing down.
Maybe back-to-back weeks we can get Deron Bland. You get another pick 6 from him. That'd be awesome. Yeah. That would be beautiful. And Jake Ferguson, the number 50, only tight end in NFL history with at least 50 receptions and 6 receiving touchdowns in the first 7 games of a season. Might be another big day for Fergie today. All right, Coach's Corner. Brian Schottenheimer, Brad Sham. We're going to get to know the enemy. We got the owner's box, Jerry Jones, a lot more coming up. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Miller Lite, the legendary light beer. The original.
with ease here as we've got our boots on the ground there in Denver. But right now, it's time for our Coach's Corner. Here's Brad Sham with the head coach of your Dallas Cowboys, Bryan Schottenheimer.
Thanks, guys, very much. Denver's a place the Cowboys haven't won in a very long time. They don't go there very often, but they haven't won there in a very long time. So this is great, the matchup between your offense and their defense. I guess your defense and their offense will be allowed to participate, but we'll get to that later. Everybody can read the numbers. You are not playing numbers on a page. You're playing people who play and coach. When you talked to the team about what to expect from the Denver defense, what'd you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I appreciate you putting that out there, the confidence that we haven't won in Denver in a long time. It's a tough place to play, but a place, I love playing here. It's the fans make it fun. There's great energy. There's great enthusiasm. And when you're talking about this defense, led by Vance Joseph, you're talking about a very physical unit. The starting point for them is to attack and try to make you play on your side of the line of scrimmage, which is what we don't want to do. They're built the right way. They've got speed on the edges. They've got power inside. And then, of course, they play a lot of man-to-man coverage, which will be a fun matchup to watch because we've got some weapons that can hopefully take advantage of that.
And along that line, I was thinking about things that you and Dak have both said, and George as well, about Pickens. And I'm thinking about how much better / different is he, and is he in the offense since CD wasn't there for those weeks and he did different things? This is not the same George Pickens as before CD got hurt, is it?
No, and I think there's part of it when you got a new player coming in, learning the system and getting his timing down with Dak. I think, that's been a big part of it. He was amazing when CD was out, but he was also pretty amazing last week when CD was back. So I think it's more of the transition period of a new player coming to a new system, a new team, getting the timing down with Dak, and I think that's been as big a part of it. But, wow, what a special player and a great teammate.
Trayvon Diggs doesn't look like he's going to play in this game. So last week, Quez Bridges got the most snaps by a bunch that he's had in any game on defense this year. How did he do? What does he bring you?
Yeah, he played very, very well. What I love about him is the length, the size, the ability to stay connected to receivers. He loves to tackle, which is big for us when we play some of our cover twos and things like that. But I thought he played very well. He's a confident young player with great size and length. And, again, you'll see him play quite a bit today.
And if Marquise Bell is playing safety, how interesting that now it's Bell and Wanye Thomas. How different is that? First of all, how did Bell do last week, and how different is the two of them than Hooker and Wilson?
Yeah, again, we're a little bit beat up back there, but again, both those young guys, we have a lot of confidence, and we have a lot of confidence in Elijah Clark. He played well last week. He's really shown up on special teams. I'm talking about Elijah, of course, but I thought Marquise played excellent last week. We challenged him to cover the tight ends and doing some things like that. This is a game where we'll have some of that as well. They've got Evan Ingram, who's a fantastic pass-catching tight end, and both Marquise and Wanye, again, have been around, and that's why we brought them back in free agency. They were guys we targeted early because we just felt really good about their ability to continue to grow as young players.
What does the Denver offense do best?
They run the football. Sean's always going to be a guy who wants to run the football. Very versatile rushing attack. J.K. Dobbins is a big physical back. He's actually really dangerous. He'll bounce the ball to the outside. The quarterback's very athletic. They get the ball out of his hand fast. He's got good weapons. I've mentioned Evan Ingram. Cortland Sutton's a guy that, again, I've loved him coming out of SMU. The size and the ability to track the 50-50 balls and things like that. Again, this should be a physical football game and should come down to the wire.
I know from talking to some people up there, they're still mad about the 1977 Super Bowl, so great chance for you to remind them of that. Good luck. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, fellas, back to you.
Yes, let's remind them of 1977. Of course, the Coach's Corner brought to you by Gillette, the official shave of the Dallas Cowboys. As the Orange Crush unis will be out for the Broncos. Hopefully, maybe we can get the Doomsday defense back on the field, Brian.
Yeah, what's funny, and I don't mean this in a ha-ha way, the Schottenheimer family's had some really bad memories of Denver Bronco football. If you you think about the drive, you think about, I think it was Biner had a fumble in a championship game.
Those Browns Broncos.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where like Marty Schottenheimer had a really, really good team, And then, like you said, the game at Cleveland, the drive, and then that I believe it was Ernest Biner that had the fumble in that playoff game in Denver. That just and matter of fact, in those uniforms that they're about to see today.
Well, it's time for
let's not do it for let's do it for Marty.
Dad.
Let's do it for Marty Day.
Do it for Marty.
This is the
do it for Marty game.
We just figured it out. This is the do it for Marty game.
Do it for Marty.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's make it. And by the way, Marty's Browns, they're losing pretty bad right now to the Patriots, 30-13. So we need the Cowboys to get a win today. Do it for Marty. Yeah. That is indeed the slogan. Clarence Hill reporting that Stephen Jones said the Cowboys have called all 32 teams about who might be available. He said it's the same thing they do every year. They always do their due diligence on who might or might not be available.
Yeah. Well, like you say, keep calling, and if people are telling you no, just keep calling. And just
nobody can convince somebody to say yes better than Jerry, right?
Exactly.
Jerry's the closer.
Exactly.
Send in the closer. You want Crosby?
Yeah.
Send in the closer.
Yeah.
Get Jerry to make this thing happen. So much more as we're getting closer and closer to kickoff, under 45 minutes. Cowboys, Broncos. Cowboys looking to, go ahead and eliminate some bad memories when it comes to travels to Denver, and let's make some good ones as Dak Prescott and the Cowboys looking to get a road victory at 3-3-1. Broncos coming in at 5-2. We will get to know the enemy. We'll also get our view from the owner's box as Christy Scales is going to be standing by with Jerry Jones. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Arrow Exterminators. Official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Here's Eric Giafalo and Bryan Broaddus.
All right, Zach Wolchuck alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. Let's get to know the enemy, brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Broncos coming into this one. They lead the NFL in sacks with 34. They lead the league in quarterback hits with 65. They're also leading the league in pressures and pressure percentage win rate. They've also got 5 players with 3 or more sacks. That's the most in the NFL. Dak, though, has been sacked multiple times, just twice this year. That was in weeks 2 and 3, and the Cowboys have all of their offensive line healthy today, despite Cooper Beebe. We're thinking Cooper Beebe might be back. He's not. He hopefully will be making his return next week, Monday night against Arizona back at home, but it will be Brock Hoffman continuing to start at center. But right now, let's get our view from the owner's box, brought to you by Yeti, the official cooler of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Christy Scales standing by with Jerry Jones.
Well, guys, we've got Jerry Jones here. And, Jerry, we only get to play in Denver once every 8 years, but what a showing by Cowboys fans today.
Well, of course, we're proud of every fan that's here, and it is close enough to catch a bus from over here in Texas. But, no, all kidding aside, a lot of blue, considering the real fan base that Denver enjoys.
I have a question about your offense, because what a challenge today with this Bronco defense that leads the league in sacks. And we know last time we were here 8 years ago how hard it was to run the ball. What do you see as the key for success for the offense today?
Well, excuse me, but, I talked to Sean before the season started, and it was kind of an informal talk, and we weren't necessarily talking about the team, but he pointed out, he said, boy, I think may have one here this year. One that can maybe compete all the way. And the defense was certainly something he mentioned as he thought was special. And that tells you a lot, but they got a great coach in my mind. And they got a top coaching staff. And, of course, I think their ownership is really outstanding. And they've got a lot of great plans for new stadia here. But Denver's the entire package. This is one of the great franchises in sports, period. So it's great to be able to come here and play. I'll never forget, I was standing out here with Jimmy Johnson and Dave Weinstead. And we came out here, and this was preseason. And this was about maybe the 3rd time I'd ever been on the field since we got involved with the Cowboys. And I was talking to them, and they were saying, boy, I just wish we had some ammo, because it's a great feeling to be here in this Denver stadium. And Dan Reeves was their coach. They left Elway in a preseason game through overtime. He played the whole game plus into overtime, and they beat us. That was the only preseason game that we lost that year. We all were thinking, hey, this thing, we kind of like this NFL. We won 1 football game in the regular season. So the area has a lot of good memories.
Because the Broncos are such a stout opponent today, and this could be one of these litmus games, does the result of today's game influence any decisions you have in terms of the trade deadline coming up in just over a week?
Well, I don't know that. I haven't looked at it ahead and said, if we win, it'll be this. If we don't, we won't do that. It could in its own way, but it would be specific maybe to a position of injury, something like that. But in general, I'd say that we are looking hard at how to improve. I know that's a standard answer. We're looking hard at the deadline coming up. It's a time for movement. And if something's available there, we certainly have the ability, since we've got the picks and the cap room that we have now.
Can you speak to the availability that you have of the secondary today? Trayvon's on IR, but you got Deron Bland coming off a big game. You got a young guy, Triquez Bridges, and you got Kyer Elam, but 2 different starters at safety with a rookie, Elijah Clark. And with Marquise Bell, you've got a lot of moving parts in that secondary. What should fans expect today?
The only thing that we also got some moving parts in that offensive line a little bit, which worries us. So, but all teams are dealing with a lot of moving parts, really, when you think about it. This is a tough team. We got our hands full here today. Should we come out of here with a win, it'd be a gigantic victory for the Cowboys.
We appreciate the visit. Thanks so much. That's the view from the owner's box as we continue counting down to Cowboys and Broncos here in downtown Denver.
Thank you very much, Christy there with Jerry Jones, and he's right. I mean, this would be a huge win for the Cowboys against a team that we all think is certainly a threat in the AFC, but the best defense they're going to play against all year long. The number one Cowboys offense against the best pass rush in all of the NFL in terms of sacks and pressures and quarterback hits. This is going to be a really, really tough matchup and an interesting test for Dak Prescott and the rest of the Cowboys offense. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Cowboys Radio Network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD-FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
All right, just a little over 25 minutes away from kick in Denver. We'll go inside the booth with Brad Shim. We'll hear more from Christy Scales. Keys to the game. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Miller Lite, the legendary light beer. The originator.
scout, Bryan Broaddus, and we're joined now by the legendary voice of your Cowboys, the great Brad Sheamus. We go inside the booth, brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort, the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. And Brad, Cowboys looking to get their first win against the Broncos in 30 years. So Eric wanted me to ask this question to you.
Denver. In Denver.
Yes, in Denver.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make it more of a, hey, you got to go win this one in Denver? It's a must-win.
Are you serious with that question? Really?
It's a must-win.
That's Eric fed you that question.
He did.
You didn't ask that question.
No, that's that. He wanted me to ask that to you, and I'm leaking confidence,
sure,
Brad.
I'm sure Eric fed you that question.
He did.
Yeah.
But
that's got so much to do with this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think... I
have a very dear friend who's a huge Notre Dame fan.
Uh-huh.
And she sends me a text every week, and we win one for the Gipper, and I've taken to telling her the Gipper is dead.
Brad, how about win one?
Don't know how to break it to you.
How about win one for Marty then? Because the Schottenheimer history with the Denver Broncos, how about that? Could that be our thing?
Yeah, that would be. Well, that doesn't mean anything to these Dallas Cowboys, but
it's got to mean something to the head coach.
And I was going to say that, and the head coach means something to them. So yeah, I'd be all
right.
for that.
We
But I don't
found
think
something.
it'll help them.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No, hey, well, how about playing run defense, pass defense today? What do we need to do?
Yeah.
More importantly,
run defense first.
Yeah.
Run defense first, and then look, you've still got. Bland had a good game, but you've still got some sketchiness going on at corner. I don't know what Elam's going to give you. I kind of like Bridges, but and then you're on your third and fourth safeties, and so let's not let them run the ball. Let's make them pass it and take our chances then.
Kind of feel like that Sean Payton's going to look at that Carolina game plan more than he would what the Commanders tried to do. That's what I worry about a little bit.
I think that's right, but I also think that, and I'm a big fan of Sean's, and his success is irrefutable, but Sean loves him some Sean.
He does. There's no question about that. I worked with that man a long time. Yeah, he does.
Sean, right? So Sean will look at that and decide that I saw what they did, but I'm smarter than that. So that can play into it, but it's who's got the best players is the biggest part.
Sure.
All right, Brad, have an outstanding call. I apologize for that terrible question.
It's not you. It's on Eric. It's completely on Eric, and that is what he did to you for last week for your being absent.
No, you're right, and maybe I deserve that. All right, Brad, we'll catch up with you later. Have a great call.
Bye.
Christy Scales joining us now as Christy. What do we got? Keys to the game brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to be a fun one. What a great matchup we've got. Cowboys offense versus that third down defense of Denver.
Yeah, and that's why I think the key for the Cowboys offense today is to win first down, meaning get something substantive on first down and don't fall into the second and long and third and long situations. The Cowboys offensive coordinator Clayton Adams, when asked about the Broncos being number one third down defense, he pointed out that they have the most situations of 3rd and 8 or longer, and what happens is they don't even wait to third down to throw some exotic looks. They'll get you in second and long and throw some exotic looks at you and have success, and then third and long throw even more at you. And then with the crowd here, with this Rocky Mountain Thunder, with the steel, the metal that's in the upper decks here, and the crowd, they stomp their feet, and it's so loud here when you're trying to operate on offense that it also helps the Broncos defenders along the line jump the count. So it's really tough going against this defense. Anyway, we know they're number one in sacks, and so when they get you in the second and third and long situations, they can really pin their ears back. The Cowboys have to avoid that situation today. And for the Cowboys defense, I agree with Brad, but the Cowboys run defense so important. You know, it's not just the having the young guys at safety, but the Cowboys run defense has to do really well, because what the Broncos are great at is breaking off explosive runs, right? 10 yards plus. They're one of the tops in the league. So limit those explosive plays on the ground for that Broncos offense.
Christy, send that barrel man home unhappy today. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Send that son of a gun home unhappy today for us.
And I don't want to see that white horse Thunder running out here too much after score. So let's keep that horse in the stall today.
Nobody better than you, Christy. Thank you so much. Have a great call. We'll be listening.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Brian.
There she goes, Christy Scales, your Legacy Award winner from Texas A&M right there. Congratulations to Christy. All right, Brian, prediction time.
I took Dallas 28, Broncos 24. I think you got the better quarterback today.
I agree. I think the Cowboys have a great chance to win this one, but I'm a little bit worried about Marvin Mims maybe returning a punt, getting some good special teams. I thought preseason there's no way the Cowboys win this one. I'm not gonna go back on that. I'm Broncos 26-23. But just go ahead and dump that, Peyton. Thank you so much. All right, we've got a lot coming up. Of course, we got kickoff just around the corner. Brad, Babe, Christy, we'll have halftime for you, and the post-game show going until 9:30 p.m. Central right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Let's get ready for kickoff, baby. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Cowboys fans, here's the game plan. Touchdown Tuesday at Take 5 Oil Change. Just wear your Cowboys gear and save 25% on your oil change. No huddle, no overtime.